Alright, how's everybody doing? This is the Comic Samurai. I want to welcome you to my next video, and tonight we're going to be looking at my favorite comic book covers that feature a trio. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First up, we got this Amazing Spider-Man number 362. And when I thought of famous trios, this is the first one that came to mind. The Amazing Spider-Man, Venom, and Carnage. And this beautiful cover done by Mark Bagley is a great way to kick us off. Next up, we got Spider-Man Unlimited number 2. Now, this is Ron Lim's take on that same trio, and I just had to show both of these. I couldn't decide which one I liked better. Now, Ron Lim is my Silver Surfer artist, but he pulled off a heck of an image of Spider-Man and his two villains there. Next up, we got the Incredible Hulk number 376, and if Ron Lim is my Silver Surfer artist, then Dale Keown is my Incredible Hulk artist. I love his take on the Jolly Green Behemoth. And here, the green version of the Hulk, the gray version of the Hulk, and Bruce Banner are meeting all together, and they end up combining in what I think they called Professor Hulk. But right here, Joe Fixit, the Gray Hulk, the mindless Green Hulk, and Bruce Banner are hashing it out. And what a great image that one is. Next up, we got Silver Surfer number 70, and this one is a Ron Lim image here, and it features Galactus, Nova, and Silver Surfer. So we've got Galactus with his two most famous heralds, and they're all going at it here. It's like those two heralds are rebelling against Galactus. It seems the only way that Galactus can find a herald that will stay true to him is if they're a villain. Well, let's go ahead and move it on. Next up, we got Thor number 353, and Walter Simonson is my Thor artist, and on this one, you've got Odin, Thor, and his brother Loki there, adopted brother, but this image of those three, I love how this one is a symmetric image where you've got that solitary figure in the middle and the two opposite brothers on each side there. What a great image done by Simonson. Next up, we got Kazar the Savage number 1, and here you've got Kazar, his girlfriend, and his tiger there. I love those characters there, and it's just a beautiful image. You don't usually think of those three as a trio, but they do make a striking triumvirate. Next up, we got the Champions number 10, and this image done by Dave Cockrum is one of the most underrated comic book covers of all time, in my opinion. I love this image of Hercules being shot by Ghost Rider's Hellfire, and there's the angel in the background there, but look at how the Hellfire is engulfing Hercules there. I love this cover. It's dynamic. The colors pop. It's one of my favorites, and I sing its praises whenever I get the chance. Next up, we got the Uncanny X-Men number 286. Now, this Jim Lee image is amazing. I love the perspective on it, and this one features Angel again there, coming at the viewer, but this time he's in the form of Archangel. He's been updated or upgraded by Apocalypse there, but there's Jean Grey, and then Colossus in the background there. What a strange trio to put on the cover, but I think it worked. All the colors, that green really sets off Archangel's pink and blue costume. Next up, we got the Uncanny X-Men number 268. And this is probably the first trio that came to mind when I thought of an unlikely trio. You've got Captain America, Black Widow, and Wolverine on the cover of an X-Men comic done by Jim Lee. But look at them staring off into the horizon with the cityscape in the background there. Jim Lee pulled off an image here that became an instant icon. I love this cover. Next up, we got Wolverine number 6, and when they introduced those pair of villains of Roughhouse and Bloodsport, I just thought that they played off of Wolverine's strength so good. I love those two going up against Logan in his patch persona here. This is the height of Wolverine's greatness under John Buscema's helm, in my opinion. Next up, we got the Incredible Hulk number 350, and this one is probably, it's always in my top 10 of favorite covers here. This image of the Gray Hulk, Joe Fixit, and the Thing. Now, he's in his further development in his, it's not a mutation, but the cosmic ray effects here, where it's the spiky Thing going head to head with Doom in the background there. Those three, I just love how Doom pulled the strings to get those two behemoths to fight there. And face to face, that dramatic underlight done by Purvis. I just think this is one of the most underrated comic book covers of all time. I know you probably get tired of saying that, but that's an amazing cover. Next up, we got Supervillain Team Up number 17. Now this is an interesting cover. It's got the Red Skull holding the Cosmic Cube high, and he's flanked on each side by the Hate Monger and Arnim Zola there. And those three were such strange, outlandish, vibrant villains that you had to open it up and see what is drawing them together. What's the power struggle going to be? Are they going to get along, or are they going to be a really undefeatable triumvirate? Next up, we got Spider-Man Blue number 5, and this has got a great Tim Sale cover here, but it introduces that love triangle of Spider-Man, Mary Jane Watson, and Gwen Stacy, and I just loved how they set that up. It reminded me of Archie's love triangle with Betty and Veronica. Yeah, Archie always had to choose between the two, and on this one, it's the Amazing Spider-Man dealing with his two love interests there. I love that. Next up, we got the Avengers number 23. George Perez does a great cover here featuring the love triangle of the Scarlet Witch, the Vision, and Wonder Man. And it's interesting because they based the Vision's brain patterns off of Wonder Man there. And I love that, this android that fell in love with the Scarlet Witch. And how is their relationship gonna work? It's an interesting dynamic, and you've just gotta say it's one of the most interesting love triangles in all of comics. Next up, we got Miracle Man Family number 2, and this is a Galassi cover, but it's so dark. You're like, it's supposed to be a colorful reprint of these early Miracle Man stories, but you know that there's something definitely off about it with the coloring here. But you've got Miracle Man in the center there, flanked by Kid Miracle Man and Young Miracle Man there, and they make up the trio of the Miracle Man family, and it's kind of a reflection of the Shazam family that you'll see here in a second. Next up, we got Star Wars, Return of the Jedi, Infinities number 3. And that Infinities line was kind of a what-if stories in the Star Wars universe. And this cover features the 3 most powerful beings in the Star Wars universe. You've got Luke Skywalker, his father Anakin Skywalker, in the guise of Darth Vader, and the Emperor Palpatine there. And these 2 Dark Lords of Sith trying to convince Luke Skywalker to join them in the dark side. What a great cover that one is. Next up, we got Rover Red Charlie, and this is one of the most underrated series, in my opinion, written by Garth Ennis, but it tells the story of these 3 dogs, and it's amazing how their personalities come out, and each of the breeds is even kind of represented with a different personality, but the dynamic of these 3, that trio is so interesting and heartwarming. This really is a great story. It's kind of an apocalyptic story where humanity meets a dirty end, and these pups, these canines, have to pick up the pieces. Next up, we got Cliffhanger number 0, and this one was kind of a preview comic given out by Wizard Magazine, but it features all these 3 here on the cover that were going to be introduced into the Cliffhanger line. You get a shot of all 3 of those heroines on the cover here. What a great introduction to that line. Next up, we got Oz number 5 by Caliber, and this is a beautiful cover that features the 3 most famous characters from The Wizard of Oz. You got the Scarecrow, the Cowardly Lion, and the Tin Man there. But they are versions of those characters that you don't see in the original MGM movie. They are twisted and darker and powerful figures in this universe. This is really an underrated series. Those first 20 issues or so are amazing by Caliber. Next up, we got Shazam number 3, and this features the Captain Marvel family on the cover here, with Captain Marvel or Shazam in the middle, Mary Marvel on one side, and Captain Marvel Jr. on the other. And I love that early C.C. Beck version of Captain Marvel. Next up, we got DC Comics Presents number 49, and I love the trio on the cover of this one. You've got Captain Marvel and Superman flying in to battle Black Adam, and those 3, the 3 most powerful beings in the DC universe, going at it. I think this one was an underrated comic book. I mean, what a battle royale between those 3 superheroes. Next up, we got Green Lantern number 184. And this is a beautiful Gil Kane cover that features the 3 main Green Lanterns at the time. You got Hal Jordan, John Stewart, and Guy Gardner, all there on the cover. And what a powerful image of those 3. It's like the 3 most powerful police officers in the universe together on the cover of that comic. Next up, we got Justice League number 5, and this is a great image of Guy Gardner in the middle there being held back by Captain Marvel and the Martian Manhunter, and what a great image there. Everybody likes to dogpile on Guy Gardner, and for good reason. Oh, he's such a hothead being held back there on the cover. Next up, we got Batman Legends of the Dark Knight number 119, and this Brian Boland cover is so imaginative. You got 3 characters in two figures, but with the mirror reflections, it is such a mind boggle. You got Harvey Dent here, Two-Face, with an image of his scarred face and then the reflection of his beautiful face, staring at his reflection, but he sees Batman and Jim Gordon split down the middle. You got halvesy covers, reflections galore, three characters in the two. Oh, I just think this is one of the most creative covers I have ever seen. I love that Brian Bolland image. Next up, we got Detective Comics number 369, and this beautiful Silver Age cover features the power struggle, the dynamics between these three characters of Robin, Batwoman, and Batman. And it just beautifully illustrates that dynamic between those three. What a great image. I mean, it's a literal struggle, tug of war for attention between those three characters. Alright, I always save the best for last. Next up, we got Trinity number 3. I mean, it's right there in the title. The most well-known Trinity trio in all of comic books has got to be Wonder Woman, Superman, and Batman. Those three power hitters are featured unlike any other image on the cover of this comic. And Matt Wagner captured a beautiful image of those three characters. Alright, I know I left out a bunch of great trio covers. Let me know what your favorite is, which ones I forgot. Thanks for joining me and have a great night.